Good morning, good morning. This is Spirit Journey. Today is July 8th, 2020, and the time about 4:19 a.m. Yeah, this is my monitor that you see with a gentleman. His name is Shawn. Oh, what's that? Shawn Rochester, and he wrote the book, the the Black Tax. He's talking at Google. Excuse me, my camera. He's talking at a Google audience, and he explained the history of what is a black tax, referring to black people. Wow. See, some people may say that there's no real discrimination against black people. Black people got a chip on their shoulder. Slavery was over many years ago. You just got to work harder. And this man articulated the hidden tax for being black in the United States of America. He talked about, he talked about so many things. Of course, he talked about post-slavery and how the wealth, like how much money did the slave bring I'm going to call them oppressors, not master, your oppressor or human trafficker. It was in the trillions of dollars, and when you divide it up, how much each individual, either way, it brought trillions of dollars. And when the South lost the Civil War, the whites wanted to get the money that they lost from not having slavery. And so it devised a system, a black tax. He talked about the sharecropping. Sharecropping was designed for white people, for them to, even though slavery ended, but they still want a 100% benefit, financial benefit, that black person did not to get any net worth. And so since you're a former slave and you don't have any of your own land, you don't have any homes, you don't have any food. So in essence, they stayed on the plantation. Again, you don't have money, so you can't just move and find your own place to live. You're stuck on that plantation that was your destruction. And they make it so that, okay, let's say the person says, I don't want to work for this person. I don't have to work. I'll do absolutely nothing. So they created laws for that type of person. So they have 100% compliance. And so they set up a law that, like vagrancy law, like if you're not working, that's a crime. If you're not physically working, that will be considered a crime. So you'll be thrown in jail. And then you have to work. Guess what? You have to work on that person's plantation, their land. And then there's other things attached to it. There were always laws on top of laws in case to squash our opposition. And the maximum tactic to encourage or motivate that former slave to work for that person, that white person, was lynching, the killing of, whether it be male or female, if you don't do the labor. That was the ultimate outcome. So it's a slavery by another name. And he talked about, oh wow, what else he talked about? When you're spending power, like the money that you do have. Let's say you have money. That there's virtually no place for you to spend your money with your own, because there were things set up so that it's difficult for you to have your own business. You talk about even banks, that there's hardly any black-owned banks. The bank, let's say someone opens up an account. Let's say a business opens up an account at a bank. Let's say you're a thriving business. Well, you gotta have your money somewhere. And so, who's setting up accounts with black banks? So the money, again, is being steered away from black institutions. And it was amazing listening to this man. But I'm very saddened about the whole thing. I wish that it was a little clearer on the monitor, because I'm sitting far away from the monitor. I think back of my life. I didn't fully understand racism. I was born and raised here. But as I said many times, I'm not coming from Jim Crow. I'm not coming from the South. That's not my heritage. My ancestral heritage. Where did my parents come from? Where did their parents? My background, even though I and my parents were born here, both of my parents were born here, but my grandparents, all of them were from the Caribbean, and all, my black ancestors, they were all slaves. So my family coming here is reminiscent of the white people who come here, in the sense that you're coming from another region outside of this one, and you are being introduced to its economy and where you're going to place in that economy. I would have to say that I think if you are an outsider coming in, it can be slightly easier, because you're not born here generationally, and so the effects of Jim Crow and being forced to work somebody's land, and the coercion, such as lynching, is a real factor. The Caribbean, the mass number of people there are black or mixed race people. They do have whites in the West Indies. generationally, they're generationally, they have them, but they're like hidden away. You really don't see them. They live in their own community, and they have their own network. They're very tight knit. But it does exist, racism in the West Indies. I did have the opportunity to live and work there for 3.5 years. And I saw it up close, racism, before my foot landed on that island, regarding getting a place to stay, like a guest house. And I explained that in earlier videos, that the person lied and said that they never received the money order, even though they received it the day that I called them. And I called 3 consecutive days. And she said, well, you have to pay again. I didn't get it. Once you get down here, she might have even said, once you get down, you'll locate her, whatever, what happened to the money order. Well, it turns out she had it all along and had deposited, and she signed for it, and she even logged it in her book, her accounting book, the check and the dollar amount. And her husband had told me. The husband didn't know what the wife was up to, and he unknowingly told me and her went, oh, we got it here. So he's just thinking the wife just made a mistake. No. It's a white couple from the mainland, U.S. mainland. So you have racism there in the West Indies. You have a lot of whites from the U.S. mainland that go, to the U.S. Virgin Islands, just a part of the U.S., the U.S. citizens, the U.S. Virgin Islands. And the whites in America bring their racism to the Caribbean, so they really don't want to serve you. They don't want to do business with. They want to start business down there as a new start for whatever reason. They leave the U.S. mainland, but they bring their racism with them. And whites cover for other whites activities of racism. It's smoothed over. And when I saw this firsthand, it was very alarming. And it's like my perception that the West Indian blacks, the people who live there, born there, and are generationally living there, I don't think they really understand the impact, because it's so disguised. But my coming from the U.S. mainland, being born and raised there, I saw exactly, you see the sentiment? And you hear some of the potty mouth that's being spoken about black people by these whites. And when they set up shop there, the whites in the West Indies, they set up like a community in the sense that they just want to live with their own. They have businesses that are like bars and things like that, things for where they could congregate, network, and just talk and socialize. It's to keep the money and the wealth in their hands. And so going back to the U.S. mainland, they talked about the school system. That at one point, right after slavery, there were schools, black schools, or I should say schools that had black people and black teachers. And as the years went on, less and less number of black teachers being replaced by more and more white teachers. And then he talked about, like they had a resume. And they had virtually an identical resume, and they would tell somebody, communicate with the human resource person apostle, but I guess by implication, by the name. Some names sound very uh, European American, while others sound African American in names. And based on those names, and they told the person in this experiment to find the errors in the resume, if you see any spelling, grammar errors, etc. They told them what to look for. They placed in the paper deliberate errors, and they were to the viewer of those resumes to find the errors. When they thought that the applicant was a white person, they saw less errors in the paper. When they thought that the person was a black person, or told or implied that the candidate was black, lo and behold, they found the mass number of errors. So if you're being graded, also in the grading system, if they thought the person was a white person, they scored higher, versus if it was a black person being scored on. So these are what this author, Mr. Rochester, considered like a black tax. It's costing you. Tax is something that's costing you. You're not getting anything out of a tax. It's extracting from you. And it makes me very sad because, see, it's very specific. Racism in this case could be quantified. This man's book is quantified. It quantifies how racism faces people, how it affects you economically. It keeps you stuck. And so, how does this affect me as a black woman? I would say, especially when I got out of the military and went back into civilian life. Again, I was older now, and I really started to see how racism played out. You get an apartment. Let's say you want to get an apartment. Well, you're told in a very harsh tone, well, I'm willing to rent to you, but if anybody breaks my window, you have to pay. And you have to pay 2 months extra. You have the rent, the security, and then this other thing. Well, they had 2 more additional rents, so I have to pay like four months rent up front, equivalent. That's a lot of money. So it's penalizing you for being a black person, because he said also, if I didn't say, that if someone haunts his property, and he specified because of this, pointed to his skin, you're out and you gotta pay. So isn't that considered also a black tax? And this was an immigrant man. I don't know what his ethnicity was. He had a natural tan to him. Straight hair. I have no idea what he was, but he was an immigrant. Lot of penalties. I also faced growing up a lot of penalties being a female. Like, you go to buy a car, and what happened to me? I bought a car, cash down. It was a used car, or a very old used car. It was 13 years old. You know that if you're a female and you want to get a car fixed, you know that you have to pay and they don't repair the car. They leave it exactly as it is when you come in. And this happened many times. And it didn't matter if the person was a so-called Christian. That's also a big thing in the West Indies. They want to brag that they're Christian, but they do unchristian things like stealing from you. So there's a penalty being a black female. There's also a penalty just being a black person, even living in the West Indies. Going back to the U.S. mainland again, yeah, housing was a big effect on me, especially post-military, and even before there was a slumlord, and that was a black landlord. He was an immigrant from a black man from Panama, very dark-skinned black man. He lived a couple of blocks away. That didn't protect me at all, having him as a landlord. And again, it was my first place. The type of jobs. Let's see what black tax I was exposed to. Some of them wanted to make you feel that, we're diverse. I learned that white people don't like to be challenged or embarrassed. Now, they may try to butter you up. And let's say you want to play for the same way. You just, we're all hanging loose. We're doing our work. And lo and behold, when they get offended, they work very quickly in removing black people. But the white counterpart or any other ethnic group, there's much leeway. There's a greater sense of respect for the employee. But I wonder, why is this happening? Or let's say being a black female and you work at a white-owned business. If you are approached, if a male talks to you, could be any male, could be a black male, a white male, any male, you get punished. You get kicked out. And so the fear of socialization, that like a white person could have, talk to another white person, whether it's a female or not, and nothing happens to them. They could talk, white people could talk at the water fountain. But if you're a black person at a water fountain, at the job, office job, you're looked on with suspicion. Oh, you gotta hurry, you gotta get back to work. And they might call on you, they'll call human resources, that black person's not working. See, it's an extraction. They want to extract extra labor for you. Now, let's say you start moving up the ladder. You're getting higher positions or more statusy type positions. I noticed also, the higher up you go in a corporation, the less work you do, and the more money you make. Let's say you have to do overtime. So we got this such and such work to do, and what happens? The white people start visiting the other, their buddies from the other departments, and they socialize, and no one is doing work, but they're just kind of busying around. They're given food also. They get they have a mass like they arrange for them to have meals. their dinner there. And they can get anything they want off of the menu. And it's nice, good quality food. And so they're respected and all that, if you have that opportunity. It's really interesting that white people are compensated because they have to do overtime. And yet no one's doing work. So it's like 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. And usually you leave at 5 or a little bit after 5. But they're still there at 6 p.m. And no work is being done. So they're being fed by really nice food of their choice. They get in the overtime. They have to get, the time and a half. You get all these things, but you wonder, well, nothing is being done. But you go work in an area where most of the people are black people working, you're not given food. You're not given rides home by taxi. That's another thing you get. Your white department, you get a taxi home. But white people have to be safe. Black departments, you're not given a taxi ride. You have to sit there, stay there, and just put in the hours. Also, I noticed that the number of hours that black people work in comparison to white people, black people work more hours, and the work is more physical, it's more demanding. It's a lot more demanding. While white jobs, it's cozy, you get a nice air conditioning, nice office, nice physical environment. But in the black areas, it's no windows. You're it's crowded also, very crowded. The black departments, white departments, very airy feel. It's totally different. It's a total different experience when you work in a private sector job. They dress differently. It's a whole different outlook. So I've been out of the job market now for quite a while. And so when I watched this show on the black tax, this Mr. Rochester who wrote the book, excellently done. Excellent. It makes me sad. And it makes me sad when I see people, white people, talking about black people have a chip on their shoulder. Oh, this one YouTuber, this one particular YouTuber, he's a white male. He wears a beard. He's dresses rural. He's from rural white America. And I kind of like the guy. Listen to his channel. I mean, he is who he is. His persona and everything. But I was a little disappointed in him when he said that if a race riot occurs, he's going to shoot his so-called black friends. He said he's not a prejudiced man. He says some of his best friends are black. He had black people in, I think he might have been in the military, I forget now. But yeah, he said he had black people around him all his life. And he started using terminology, insults towards black people. He was angry because he feels the country is falling apart, which it is. And he's blaming it on this black people, and they're complaining and rioting. And I thought to myself, if that's really, if you really had a black friend, if you're a white person, you really have a black friend, wouldn't you be sympathetic for your friend who is facing racism and injustices? And that if it's a so-called race war, is it really a race war? Is it as if a black army occurs and all these black people with weapons of bombs, machine guns, and grenades, etc., going out in the white community to kill off white people? No. And that is not what's happening. There is a system that Black America wants to end, but a race war like black and whites in arm-to-arm combat. Combat. I can't pronounce it right now. That's how this man is talking like, and that he's willing to kill his so-called black friends that he has with his rifle. I thought, wow. And then he started to show video clips. Now he's saying that he's not a prejudiced white guy. Then he shows his video clips. I don't know where some of these white people find these clips, but I saw a clip like this before. Again, I don't know where this picture is being showed, but it looked like the tropics of some type because of the foliage, and they're not really wearing much clothes. They're really tiny also. They look maybe no more than 5 feet tall. They look like adults, but they're very young, very a childlike body, in size. And they're doing a weird dance and gestures. They're wearing, these are all males also, young males, and they're wearing underwear. And it's just bizarre. And so he then showed that clip. And it seemed like it was to be a mockery against black people. And this other YouTuber had done the same thing, that it's a white channel, and it's designed for white people to watch, and they'll complain about different things against black people, or what do you call it, the America going down the drain type of thing. Some of the content is actually interesting. I watch it for information, not that because I want to hear entertain seeing prejudiced white people. But see, information is interesting. It's about information. And see, I do believe that no matter what your race is, you should have freedoms. You should be in safety. Like everybody. Everyone should have the same standard. So yes, they have a right if they feel that they're being discriminated against or targeted. So I'm that type of person, that freedom for everybody. But if it's not about freedom, it's about when the scales start to become more equal, where they're not getting away with some of the things that they used to get away with. That's what they are up against. That's what they're really rebelling against, these white YouTubers. And when they get angry, when they can't do what they used to do, then all of a sudden blacks are showed as children. So somewhere on the internet, they're able to find this thing with little black people dancing and acting infantile. It's really weird. And so this white man, rural man, is trying to convince himself how he loves his black friends, but if a race war starts, he's going to shoot all his black friends. I would say if you really are friends with them, you'll know what they're going to. If regardless if I have a white friend, let's say, I would not. A friend is a friend, and if it's an honest friend, I only want honest people in my life, people of integrity, regardless of race. But you're going to say, hey, if it's a race war, I'm going to shoot. So it shows innately what's inside his head, how he really feels about you, and that's the sad part. I was going to write him and tell him how he's feeling himself and his so-called black friends, and what he's doing is very biased and very hateful. How we deceive ourselves. I think this year is really a wake-up call for all America to see. It's affecting us all in different ways. It's putting a lot of stress on me. And it is an economic hardship. Like one thing I wanted to say, I know I'm a little bit all over the place, but it's how racism is affecting me, or how wealth is distributed. Now the monies that I do have, in this man's book, Mr. Rochester's book on the black tax. Where I live, there's virtually no black businesses, and he talked about how certain businesses, just as time went on, that it gets removed from your region. There's virtually no black businesses here in New York City, and as some of you know, I have these little dogs, and in April, I think at the month of April and this month, I had to bring 2 of my dogs to the vet. I spent for one dog, I think, over $5,000, and then the most recent one, over $7,000 of what little savings I have. And they screwed up in some of the things, and I'm very much in particular concerned about the newest operation, procedure on my Shih Tzu. She's not acting right. There's always anxiety. What the hell did they do to my dog? I don't know. They've had procedures done, when they get what you call spayed or neutered. It's a simple procedure. Or when they have to go under, when they had their teeth done, they have to put them under, under anesthesia. All these other things. So why now? And none of the doctors were black. The first doctor, with the one done in April with my Havanese dog, was a Filipino man. And he did a real botched job. He caused more problems than my dog. And he just extracted money. The procedure he did added no well-being to my dog, and I had to bring the dog to correct that person's mistake. And that's where I learned that the procedure that they did would not have helped the initial problem, and that technique he did caused an additional problem, an infection. Yet I'm out of money. Him was about almost $1,000, and then to correct his mistake, $5,000. And then my current dog, the Shih Tzu, over $7,000. With the second dog, based on the doctor's name, an Ashkenazi man and a woman. So none of that money, that good saved money of my own, none of it went to any black person. Now again, with this COVID, you're not allowed to see the doctor. You just have to drop the dog off. You fill out the paperwork, and you just pray that everything goes well. and you really have no say. But I'm disappointed and reminded by Mr. Rochester's the what he calls the black tax, that there's no my black community is not being funded during this COVID. I'm out of all this money, and I'll hardly have any money left. I was always taught, you work hard, be honest, be a good citizen. Well, my being a good citizen is not helping me as a person. It's not helping my finances, not helping to have a little nest egg, so, when those time comes, I'll be able to support myself, comfortably. Now, before all this hospitalization of my pets, I have food and shelter, and my health is pretty good. So I'm grateful of that. I'm grateful of the blessings I do have. But when I'm reminded about the black tax and how your dollars aren't being recirculated in your community, I become angry. And I'm becoming more angry when I hear over the internet and social media of white people who claim that they're not prejudiced and that they have good friends that are blacks, but then saying that if a race war starts out, he's going to kill off all his black friends with a rifle. I'm dumbfounded. I'm dumbfounded in the street where I live. And you have a whole, now you do have now a growing number of white people on the street. Now it's really something. You always have black people living on the street in New York City. When you see a white person on the street, especially with a male and a female hanging out together, now you have black trash, but honey, white trash looks even worse. I'm sorry, see, that's my little dog that you hear. I have a humidifier on with essential oils, because I think what they did, I found out that they used like a tube down the throat. I think they hurt my dog's throat. They're saying, oh, it's anxiety. This doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand this. I'm being tried, folks. I'm being tried. That's my little girl, what it sounds like. Sounds like it's hard for her to breathe. Hear that? Now, I put her on videotape and I emailed it to the doctors. And they said, oh, it's nothing wrong, this is typical. This doesn't seem typical to me. And I'm not sure what to do. I'm really sorry that you hear this. So, this black tax, it's like an invisible tax at times. You feel it. You feel the stress of this taxation. When you buy stuff, you're paying a higher amount for the same object. You're buying a house. You have to pay more for that house, that same house. And that the value of your home depreciates. While the white communities, they have it built in their system that the value increases. I consider this war being done upon me, my community, but it's a soft kill. It's done indirectly. It's to cause you stress, hardships, financial, they're extracting all your wealth. And then again, these services. Now you think, like here, my dog is having problems right now. I've done everything, doing everything for her. I'm doing, bring her outside, getting the fresh air. I massage her body. I have the vaporizer going for her to soothe her throat. Now you think about as a white person and stuff, you wouldn't have this type of shoddy work. When you go to a dentist in a black neighborhood, you know who goes in these black neighborhoods to do business? Eastern Europeans. And they suck out all the money from the black community. And unfortunately, I had gotten affected by that. I thought everybody's equal. Well, this guy messed up my teeth. But I cannot go into their communities and do the same thing, nor would I want to do that. Even these doctors who work in the VA hospital, they're there in the VA hospital, and somehow they are getting the top positions. They get in these positions, and they're real cocky too in their behavior towards you. Very disrespectful. But see, I'm taught to be respectful. They don't respect you. And so this is really reevaluating me watching this program about the black tax. Really is about quality of life. Yes, I have food and shelter, but now my money is dwindled. I feel I have to be smart about things right now to save up money, because you see, these doctors could mess up again. And I'm wondering, hey, I want to find out how long this guy's been practicing. See, that's another thing. They get all these new doctors, like you go to a medical establishment, you get a doctor, and then they get new people, and you wonder, what happened to your doctor? Well, you don't want to be rude. What they're doing, they get these new doctors to train on you. And that's what the VA hospital is doing to its military and veterans. Having these newcomers to practice on you, and then they say the dumbest things. And I told you about these things, what they're saying now. Sorry. What they're saying. They're trying to push certain medications on you, like estrogen. And I said, that causes cancer. Oh no, that's a myth. Then I go to visit family, and there's a commercial on about that drug or that type of drug, maybe different brand name. Okay? And guess what they said one of the side effects are? Cancer. They're getting these doctors to do a number on you because it's a business. Sickness is a business. And they're infiltrating you. They're infiltrating the VA hospitals. And even though Trump has said some, doing these, if the doctor does something against you or mistreats you, they're fired. I go to the VA hospital. These doctors get carte blanche. See, it's a system. And it's a system that protects itself. And I had gone to the VA hospital, and I remember I said something about this dental procedure that they wanted to do, and they covered the person in charge. It was the female coordinator, also an Ashkenazi name. And I told her, hey, when I went down there, this happened. What, you know what her response is? Oh, I've been there before. When I go down there, I never experienced that. That's what she said. So I know that I cannot do what Trump says. Yeah, that's my little girl. So let me go, guys. Yeah, she hears me talking. So thank you again. This is food for thought on what's going on in America. There's a black tax on you. It's an exploitation on you. And no, I'm not encouraging a race war. I'm encouraging you to open your eyes that things are being done upon you. It's a soft kill, and it makes me not want to be here in this region. It makes me feel that I want to move. But you know, I love America because this is the place of my birth. So this food for thought. Thank you. Write your comments below. Share this video with friends, family members. And if those who are able to donate, please donate to help me regroup and pay for my baby doggies' medical expenses. I greatly appreciate it. You can PayPal me. My link is at my YouTube channel. On the banner on the right hand side, you see the link at my Spirit Journey channel. Click on it and follow the prompts. Any amount would be greatly appreciated. I thank you all in advance. Let peace, love, joy, prosperity, and health for all Americans, regardless what they are. Thank you again. Bye-bye.